Part 39. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 381. To be honest, Wang Ling doesn't like to go to the market on weekdays, because the market always feels a bit messy, and many of the things in the market can also be purchased in stores, but they are just a bit more expensive. However, Wang Ling's mother likes to go shopping. There are many stalls selling vegetables, fruits, and various ingredients and supplies in the market. This gives her the opportunity to compare shopping, and she will not miss it in almost every market. Of course, there are many people who have the same idea as my mother, so every market is very prosperous and the flow of people is relatively large. There was no other way. Wang Ling had nothing to do now, so he simply went out with him, just to help carry some food and run errands. The market street is very close to Wang Ling's house. Not long after they started walking, they arrived at the market. The bustling noises and cries of sellers could be heard almost non-stop. While it was lively, there was also a sense of chaos. My mother had long been accustomed to this kind of scene, so she wasn't surprised. Naturally, she walked to a nearby stall selling yam, picked it up, and asked about the price. However, after spending some time, I didn't buy a single yam, and obviously I had to continue going to other stalls to compare goods and prices. Wang Ling shrugged his shoulders, feeling a little helpless. Following his mother out to the market was indeed a big test of his patience. Continuing to walk forward, Wang Ling was looking around blankly, following his mother mechanically, when an electric tricycle in front of him that was originally driving in the middle of the road suddenly stopped, and an old lady over 70 years old got out of the driver's seat with a calm expression. "I went to a roadside stall to buy fruit." She was calm, but the electric tricycle was blocked in the middle of the road. The road occupied by the township market is actually very wide. However, the vendors on both sides of the road each occupy a part of the road. The bustling pedestrians are also walking through the street separately, and such a tricycle is blocked in the middle. Originally, the wide road was blocked directly. Diddy. Not long after, a slow-moving black car not far away finally squeezed into this position with difficulty, but was completely blocked by the tricycle. It remained motionless and kept honking its horn impatiently. Hey, old lady, move your tricycle, it's blocking the road." The sound of the horn also attracted the attention of the street manager, who hurried over, recognized whose tricycle it was, and went straight to the old lady. But the old lady was too focused on picking fruits, and the sounds in the market were a bit noisy, and she was a little hard of hearing. As a result, the administrator actually shouted for a while before she heard her. After a moment of confusion, she slowly moved the electric tricycle. He reluctantly made way for cars to pass. However, just as the car drove past this place, it struggled to drive more than 10 meters before it was blocked by a tricycle again. Wang Ling watched the scene the whole time and sighed helplessly. This kind of scene happens every time in the market. It is not uncommon. This is not a quality problem, but the traffic awareness in rural towns is really poor. And most of those blocking traffic are elderly people. It's easy for young people and middle-aged people to say that many of them walk or ride electric bikes. When they stop to buy groceries, they park their vehicles on the side of the road. But many old people don't care about this. They just park and get off. Buy groceries. Just like being courteous to pedestrians, but pedestrians collectively run a red light, respecting the old and loving the young, but the old and blackmailing the children who know the law and break the law. The living history of these movements has indeed had a considerable impact on market traffic. Among the people who go to the market, these old people are the main force. There is no way. Many elderly people in rural towns have never left their own land. Occasionally they go to the city, and they also go to the hospital with their children, and they come back soon. They have never received any traffic awareness or anything like that. Constraints. This situation is really difficult to manage. Every market is a large-scale siltation site. Driving on this road, it originally only takes about 2 minutes to leave, but once you catch up with the market, you are lucky to be able to leave in 10 minutes. There are often vehicles, and the traffic jam lasts half an hour and an hour. Therefore, those experienced drivers basically take a long way around when they catch up with the market. By going around here, they can save a lot of time. The black car just looked like this. If it could drive out of the market in half an hour, it would be very fast. After shaking his head, Wang Ling didn't think too much and continued to follow his mother, watching her bargaining and shopping. "How much does a pound of tomatoes cost?" After a while, my mother squatted at a vegetable vendor's stall, picked up a plump tomato, and asked. The stall owner hurriedly replied, 3 yuan a pound. "Sister, the price of vegetables has gone up a lot this year. My place is definitely the cheapest. Look at these tomatoes, how big they are and how good they are. Take a bite and it's sour and sweet. Yes, it's delicious." This stall owner is also Wang Po, who boasts about selling melons and boasts about her own tomatoes. But my mother was used to this kind of rhetoric, so she didn't buy it at all. After putting it down, she shook her head and said, "So expensive? The store I just looked at cost 3 yuan and 70 pounds, and the quality is no worse than yours." The stall owner was unhappy. "Sister, don't be joking, this is definitely the cheapest one in my house." "It still doesn't work." Mom didn't want to talk anymore and continued to shop around, leaving all the stall owners speechless. But Wang Ling was scratching his head. He didn't follow his mother after she left. Instead, he directly picked out a batch of plump tomatoes at the stall and packed them up without negotiating the price. He paid directly. If it's a few cents cheaper, to be honest, you can't save much. But people like my mother like to bargain and compare prices. It seems to be a special pleasure. But Wang Ling didn't like it. He didn't lack the money anyway, so he bought it directly to save trouble. After paying the bill, Wang Ling took the plastic bag and ran after his mother. After walking a few steps, he was stunned when he saw his mother. Mom is now picking vegetables at another stall, and behind her, there is a young man, who looks quite sneaky. Wang Ling sneaked closer, and after standing at a certain angle, he realized that this young man was a thief, and now he was secretly taking away the wallet that his mother was carrying. Seeing this, Wang Ling felt angry and was about to catch him on the spot, but as soon as he took a step, he suddenly stopped again. "Are you going to let this thief go?" "No, quite the opposite." With a plan on his mind, Wang Ling snorted coldly, quickly retreated from the place, hid behind a stone, and called Xiao He out from the transfer station of the interdimensional system. Woof woof. Appearing in the real world, Xiao He seems to be quite happy. But Wang Ling had no time to play with it. The thief had successfully succeeded and now had changed his target and was stealing the wallet of another old lady. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 382. Humph. "Wait for me." Wang Ling watched the scene from a distance outside the crowd and couldn't help but feel angry. He squatted down, pointed at the thief, and said to Xiao He, "Xiao He, have you seen the man who picked out other people's pockets? Follow him. After the market is over, he will definitely return to his den. You are responsible for following him. Find that den, write it down, and then wait for me outside my house. By the way, pretend to be a stray dog on the way, so he doesn't notice it. You turned around and looked at the way to my house, remember? My woo." Xiao He raised his head and shouted, then nodded in a very humane manner, and went directly in the direction pointed by Wang Ling. At this time, the thief succeeded again. Now he was standing in the market, looking for his next target. Xiao He suddenly rushed over, sniffed him wildly, then raised his legs and peed on the thief. He put it on his trouser legs and barked woof woof twice. Not only did he remember the smell, he even marked it. "Where did you come from? Get out of here." The thief obviously didn't know Xiao Hei's identity and was very angry with Xiao Hei's behavior. He cursed angrily and wanted to kick Xiao Hei away, but Xiao Hei hid flexibly. "Open it, and then run away," with a strange cry of "my woo." Wang Ling hid in the distance, but sneered again and again. The thieves who appear in the market are not committing crimes alone. They are all gangs, ranging from 5 or 6 people to countless more. Normally, when some people see thieves stealing, they will speak up and stop them. However, when these people are alone, they are often retaliated by the theft gang. The evil is very serious. After a long time, they dare to stand up. There are fewer and fewer people stopping it. However, this den is not easy to attack, and the larger the organization, the more hidden it is. Even if Wang Ling saw it before, he would not dare to meddle in others' affairs. But things are different now. As a lieutenant colonel in the Red Alert world, leading a large field team, Wang Ling will inevitably have a military temperament and majesty, and his hard skills are all honed in blood and fire. After training, how can you still be afraid of such an ugly organization? However, he not only plans to deal with this person, but also wants to destroy the entire den. What is Xiao Hei? This is a police dog, and according to Wei Bowen, it has become a spirit. It would be perfect to leave the tracking task to Xiao Hei. Wang Ling trusted Xiao Hei very much. Seeing that Xiao Hei was already in place, he temporarily relaxed and found his mother. "That's all this time." My mother finally agreed on the price and picked out the vegetables. However, when she was paying for it, her expression froze and she hurriedly rummaged through all her pockets. Only then did he realize what was going on. It's broken, it's broken, it's inviting thieves. I have 500 yuan and the keys to my mobile phone in my bag. They're all lost. What should I do? After all, the number of people in the country is too large, and only a small number of people can encounter such things. But if they really encounter it, they will be really tired and panicked. For example, Wang Ling's mother is so anxious now. Seeing his mother's appearance, Wang Ling made up his mind to teach these thieves a lesson. However, that is a story for another day. Let's stabilize my mother now. "Mom, I have money with me. Let's pay the bill first and call the police as soon as we get home." After Wang Ling finished speaking, he scanned the QR code and paid. After this incident, my mother finally didn't have the time to continue being picky about grocery shopping. She still needed something, so Wang Ling just randomly picked some stalls and bought them all without even telling the price, and then took her mother with her. Mom is home. Dad is still at work, and his mother still called him directly. After all, his father had some friendship with some of the dispatched personnel, so he left it to his father to report the crime. Mom, on the other hand, was at home, pacing so anxiously that Wang Ling almost fainted. "Mom, calm down, calm down. I believe the police will definitely find those thieves." Of course, if you ask yourself this sentence, Wang Ling himself doesn't believe it. If the police could be expected to find him, then this group of thieves would not have been so unbridled for so long. After all, this kind of thing happens too often. It usually involves the loss of some simple objects. It is not certain how much attention it will receive. What Wang Ling really relied on was Xiao Hei. At this point, it was useless for my mother to worry anymore. She could only believe Wang Ling's words as if she were lying to herself, and then went to cook after being stunned for a moment. Wang Ling also rested the rest of the time. When his father came home at noon, his mother asked about the report, but his father complained, "You are so good, what can you do for food? You can use your wallet. Lost it, why didn't you lose the person? You reported the crime, but is it useful? It's not like someone died. By the time they solve the case, your phone will have changed hands many times. My mother was so scolded that she couldn't even say a word. There was nothing I could do. After being anxious and angry for a while, the family just thought it was a loss of money and a way to avoid disaster. After lunch, his father went to work, and while his mother took a lunch break, Wang Ling kept paying attention to the street outside. Now that it is the end of the new year, the fairs in towns and villages will wait until night before the stall owners close their stalls. During this period, thieves commit crimes, and it is still impossible to trace their base. Finally, as dusk progressed, the streets became increasingly sparse with pedestrians, and 9 out of 10 stall owners left the market. After waiting for another half an hour, Wang Ling finally couldn't wait any longer and walked out of his house. "Xiao He!" Wang Ling shouted in a low voice. Wow, Xiao He really came back, rushing to Wang Ling from the side under the sunset light, spinning around excitedly. Wang Ling fed Xiao He 2 mouthfuls of dried meat, rubbed the dog's head, and asked, "How's it going? Did you find it?" "My woo!" The little black monster screamed and nodded, and sure enough it was tracked. After Wang Ling saw it, he sneered, "Okay, lead the way." "Ha ha!" Xiao He gasped twice and then rushed out, with Wang Ling following closely behind. Sometimes, animals have better memories than people. Wang Ling, a halfway idiot, might have misremembered a specific unfamiliar place when he went to an unfamiliar place, but Xiao He just remembered it wrongly. You can remember it to death. Not only that, this guy also specifically picked up the path and passed through alleys along the way, obviously based on the route the thief took when he left. After walking for more than 10 minutes, they finally arrived at the edge of the town, in front of a row of dilapidated stores. Xiao He was hiding aside, staring at the store with the security door closed, and saw a hanging above it. Obvious brand, new technology. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 383. New technology. Wang Ling looked up at the sign and frowned slightly. As a native local, Wang Ling has naturally been to this place before and has seen this brand more than once. It can be said that it has been there for some years. Nowadays, most of the color on this brand has been worn away, leaving only the dross-like bracket and a few large characters that are not obvious. Due to the impact of online shopping, it is becoming more and more difficult to do business in physical stores, especially in semi-developed towns. Many physical stores may not be able to earn back the rent after operating for a year. Against this background, 4 of the 5 units in the row of shopping malls in front of us are vacant and cannot be rented out at all, giving it a sense of desolation. And the door of this new technology has been closed all year round. Wang Ling originally thought that there was no one here, but he didn't expect that this place turned out to be the den of the pickpocket gang. I thought this den must be well hidden in the suburbs, but I didn't expect it to be in a store on the edge of the town. It's really dark under the lights, Wang Ling smiled coldly. Although it is in a township, this fringe area is somewhat underdeveloped. There are very few vehicles and pedestrians, and no one may come and go for a long time. Hiding in a place like this, once the security door is closed, it is really safer. However, this kind of security has come to an end today. Xiao He, are people still inside? After making up his mind to sabotage, Wang Ling made a final confirmation, saving a lot of damage, but in vain. Xiao He also cooperated very well. He turned around and stared at the store. He let out a low growl from his throat. It was obvious that there were many people inside. Good job. Okay, go back and rest. Leave the rest to me, Wang Ling praised, fed Xiao He a few more pieces of dried meat, and then sent Xiao He back to the system transfer station. After getting up, he continued to look at the shopping mall. Wang Ling did not take action immediately. He thought for a moment and then shouted in his head, "Uncle He, help me exchange Sun Dehua, Erlu, Li Tong, and Gu Suanwu for temporary exchange. Come out." That's right, he didn't want to let anyone go this time, so he called some helpers just to be on the safe side. Anyway, temporary exchange only requires 10 points per hour, and Wang Ling can afford to spend it. And Uncle He was also happy to see Wang Ling using this exchange function. As Wang Ling finished speaking, 4 black twisted time and space tunnels suddenly appeared beside him, and 4 people wearing mobilization uniforms slowly walked out of them. But aren't they the 4 old members Sun Dehua, Erlu, Li Tong, and Gu Suanwu? As soon as these people appeared, they were confused for a moment. When they saw Wang Ling, they quickly gave a military salute, "Team leader." Wang Ling returned a symbolic salute, and then said, "Now, do you know who you and I are?" The virtual life materialized. When redeeming, these people had already obtained the information of the system, learned about the existence of the system, and also knew the identities of themselves and Wang Ling. This saves Wang Ling's explanation. Sun Dehua laughed happily, I know, I didn't expect that there is such a technology in the world. Our feelings are all virtual programs. This identity is really shocking." Although he said that, looking at his expression, he didn't look decadent at all. Instead, he was full of curiosity and excitement. Li Tong looked at Wang Ling and said in amazement, "Team leader, no wonder you are so familiar with the enemy and our troops when fighting, and your various fighting methods are really tricky. You are a player in terms of emotions." Gu Suanwu, on the other hand, was calmer, "Team leader, this is the first time for you to exchange us into the real world in this system. What's the reason for this time?" When the question finally got to the point, Wang Ling pointed to the store with his chin and said, "That's not why a group of pickpockets are hiding inside." "Pickpocket? Team leader, are you kidding me? You still need our help for a group of pickpockets? You can beat them to tears by yourself," Erlu said sarcastically. Wang Ling couldn't laugh or cry, and shook his head and said, "When it comes to beating, I'm not afraid of these pickpockets no matter how many there are, but I don't want to let anyone go. You guys don't have to go in, just block outside the door and the 4 windows. If anyone wants to run away, hit me." "To what extent?" Sun Dehua asked. This group of elite mobilization soldiers had killed many enemies in the war. It was effortless to beat people to death. Wang Ling didn't want to do that. "Don't shoot, hide all the guns, and as long as you don't beat people to death, it doesn't matter how you beat them, the harder the better." "Okay, I like it," Erlu said happily. After coming up with the plan, the 4 people quickly arranged themselves. Li Tong and Gu Suanwu were guarding the window in front, while Sun Dehua and Erlu were like monkeys, running up the high wall on the side and jumping onto the room top. This is to block the rear window. After waiting for the personnel to be in place, Wang Ling still did not give up. Instead, he took out his phone and called the police. "Hello, police. I want to report a crime. There is a theft gang's den here at Xingshan Technology in the west of the town. Please hurry up, come here, someone has already come to the door, someone might be killed if it's too late." After saying that, Wang Ling hung up the phone without waiting for the police to ask too many questions. The real world has its own rules. Wang Ling can teach these thieves a lesson in private, but the real arrest depends on the police. The more serious the situation, the faster they will come. After finishing his work, Wang Ling took out a mask he had prepared before and put it on, clenched his fists, approached the Xingshan Technology security door, and kicked it hard. Boom! Wang Ling's current strength was able to shake even tanks at first, but after going through several military experience enhancements, it was a bit more powerful than that time. Although the security door is hard, no matter how hard it is, can it be harder than a tank? With this kick, The entire anti-theft door was slightly dented to a certain arc, even the wall inlaid with the anti-theft door was cracked in a large area, and a little bit of dirt frequently fell down. Boom! Wang Ling was not surprised when he failed to kick it open. He kicked it up again. The anti-theft door was dented even more. Even the cracks on the wall vibrated like strips. Like a centipede, it instantly covered the entire wall. Back to a few minutes ago, inside the Xingshan Technology store, with the dim light of daylight, 8 figures could be vaguely seen flickering inside. Hiding in such a dark place, sneaking around, and doing shady things. This is Wang Ling's target, the pickpocket gang. Now among this group of people, one person was lazily watching TV. This person looked tall, with gloomy eyes and a very obvious scar on his face. There were 3 other people smoking cigarettes and playing cards. These 3 seemed to be elite members of the gang. They were extremely strong. They rolled up their sleeves, revealing their tattooed arms. The other 4 people gathered around a round table, their eyes shining as they looked at the mobile phones and wallets all over the table. Haha, it's a good sign for the Chinese New Year. The God of Wealth is blessing us. These people going to the market brought much more money than usual, and they arrived at night and dispersed. It's really convenient for us. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 384. The man who spoke had a sharp mouth and a monkey's cheek. He was holding several mobile phones and carrying several wallets. There was some vulgarity and filthiness in his words and deeds. If Wang Ling saw him now, he would recognize him as the thief he bumped into and stole his mother's wallet today. There are 3 more thieves like him in this stronghold, and those 3 are all happy now. Yes, it's still a great time during the Chinese New Year. People wear a lot, and it's hard for them to notice when they do it. They also bring a lot of money to buy New Year's goods. If you're lucky, you can steal a wallet as much as a week. It's over. Not all, look at this, there are only 500 in the bag. It's really stingy, I can't remember which poor guy it is. But this mobile phone is not bad. If you resell it, you should be able to earn a few hundred. Don't rush to have fun yet. While the 4 people were commenting wildly, the man with gloomy eyes who looked like a leader interrupted them. You have stolen too much this time, and it is easy to cause trouble. This group of people will rebound and call the police together, and our life will be difficult. Boss, isn't it because there was really no business in the past few days? I finally caught up with the market last year and I'm really sorry that I didn't steal more. Moreover, as far as the efficiency of those police officers are concerned, what are you worried about? In the worst case, they will be dispatched. When the incident happens, let's hide for a while and then come out after the limelight is over, a thin man replied with a laugh. The boss snorted coldly, said nothing, and continued watching TV. But one of the tattooed men who had just finished a poker game said, "It's not unreasonable to say that. If you are smart, you can resell a few of the mobile phones you stole this time." Hey, thank you, brother, thank you, brother. The number of members in this pickpocket gang is not large, but the classification is quite obvious. The scarred man is the leader of the pickpockets, and the 3 tattooed men are the backbone elites, responsible for intimidating the lower classes and retaliating against certain people. They are the ones who actually do theft. Yes, it's still the 4 young men. Every time something is stolen, they basically have to be turned over, and then a portion of it is rewarded to them. Someone once tried to resist hiding in secret, but after being discovered, they were beaten to a disability by the 3 tattooed men. Since then, these people working at the bottom have no idea of hiding and resisting. Being able to get a few more mobile phones for the first time is already an unexpected surprise for them. Boom. But just when they were having fun, the security door of the shopping mall seemed to be suddenly hit by something huge. The whole building trembled, and the group of pickpockets were instantly frightened. What? Is it an earthquake? Boom. In panic, this group of people had just discussed twice when another loud noise came from the door. The store trembled slightly. At the same time, the wall where the door was located also cracked in a large area, and a lot of soil and lime residue fell down. It's not an earthquake, it's just a lot of people hitting the security door with wooden stakes. Look there. At this time, a pickpocket finally realized what was going on. He pointed at the security door, and everyone saw that it was originally a solid security door. The door actually protruded part of the way inward. It really looked like a group of people were hitting the door with wooden stakes, as if they were attacking the city in an ancient war. It's broken, are we exposed here? Another pickpocket was afraid. In their shady profession, what they feared most was being exposed. Dare to knock on the door? You're looking for death. However, the three tattooed men became angry and picked up wooden sticks one after another, going to open the door and fight each other. Boom. Bang, bang, bang. However, as soon as they stood up, the third sound came. This sound was more exciting than the previous two sounds combined, because the anti-theft door was kicked away completely, detached from the wall, hit the opposite wall with a bang, and then fell down. The three people were originally very aggressive, but when they saw this scene, they were all shocked. What kind of wooden stake can knock the door away so far? How many people are needed? With this idea in mind, the three of them subconsciously looked toward the door, only to find a strange man wearing a plastic mask, jeans on his lower body, and a casual cotton coat on his upper body slowly walked in. This person was naturally Wang Ling, who came to teach these pickpockets a lesson with the help of Xiao He. With his current physical strength and power, the security door could not resist him at all and was knocked down by his 3 feet. Walking into the store, the pickpockets were still nervous and fearful, but Wang Ling was already looking at the place by himself. Tisk, tisk, the windows are all covered with black film, making the whole store dark and dull. It's really in line with your status, so shameless. As he spoke, Wang Ling had already scanned the stolen goods on the table and couldn't help but sneer. It seems that I found the right place. Are you dividing the stolen goods? Who are you? At this point, the group of pickpockets finally calmed down, and the scarred man couldn't calm down anymore. He stared at Wang Ling and asked. Another tattooed man shouted and asked, "What did you hit the door with? What are you doing here?" Wang Ling glanced at them, twisted his neck, made a crackling sound, and said with a sinister smile, "You don't need to know who I am. It was just a coincidence that you stole things from my family today, and I was hit hard. Stay. If you are not diligent and lazy, if you are dedicated to fighting but have no eyesight, if I encounter you, you will be in trouble." You? Who do you think you are? Wang Ling spoke unceremoniously and did not hide the purpose of his visit. Previously, this group of pickpockets were still afraid of Wang Ling, but now they are also annoyed. Two of the men with tattoos swung. He picked up the wooden stick and hit Wang Ling. However, before the stick could reach Wang Ling slapped one of them away with his backhand. He spun 360 degrees in the air and landed on the ground. Half of his face immediately swelled up, and 4 fingerprints appeared on it. Blood oozed from the corners of his mouth, and his whole body was beaten into darkness. The other person also had a hard time. The stick was swung at him. Wang Ling dodged, and stretched out his arm to block it. Clang! As a result, the stick hit his arm as if it were hitting a rock, causing pain in the palm of the tattooed man's hand. Wang Ling didn't give him time to react. He directly pinched his wrist with his other hand and twisted it hard. He only heard a crisp click sound and the wrist was broken. Ah! The moment of severe pain made the tattooed man scream hysterically, as if he was killing a pig. "Aren't you annoying?" But Wang Ling was disgusted by the cry, so he punched him in the face, shattering his nose with one punch, and even knocked the tattooed man 2 meters away without losing any strength. Even more miserable than that guy just now. Different dimension. Red alert world. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 385. Wang Ling came this time, but he was determined to teach these thieves a lesson, and of course he was unambiguous in his attack. However, with Wang Ling's current strength, he could shake a tank with 1 punch, knock down a security door with 3 kicks, and use all his strength to kill someone at once. There are many rules in the real world, so there is no problem in secretly teaching them a lesson, but if someone is killed, it will be a big deal. Wang Ling doesn't want to cause this trouble, so he has tried his best to use his strength when he strikes. But even so, being hit by him was quite miserable. 2 tattooed men, one of whom was lying on the ground shaking his head, was slapped by Wang Ling and was still in a daze. The other person was even worse. His wrists and nose bones were all shattered. After Wang Ling's punch, the severe pain actually caused him to faint from the pain. All this happened very quickly. From the time the 2 tattooed men took action to the time they fell, it only took a few seconds. They could still show off their power here before, but in the blink of an eye, they became like dead dogs. The contrast is really real. It's so abrupt that other people will be so frightened when they see it. "Who are you?" the last tattooed man asked tremblingly, not daring to do anything again. But Wang Ling was too lazy to reply to him. He just smiled coldly and stepped forward. If these pickpockets didn't take the initiative, it would be his turn. "Don't come here." At this time, the leader, the scarred man, was also panicking. Even though he was the boss of the gang, he was still a coward in real trouble. But why would Wang Ling listen to him? Still walking leisurely. "What do you do for a living? I raised you for free. Give it to me," Wang Ling kept shouting, so the scarred man simply instigated 4 pickpockets. These 4 people are now in a dilemma. Wang Ling is looking at them in front of them, and the boss is urging them behind. It is really hard to decide what to do. However, the 4 people later glanced at each other and finally gritted their teeth, made a decision, and rushed towards Wang Ling collectively. There is only one person in Wang Ling, and there are 4 of them. No matter how powerful Wang Ling is, it is difficult for them to defeat 4 people with 2 fists, but it is not impossible for them to win. However, the ideal is very full, but the reality is very skinny. After these 4 people approached Wang Ling, not to mention hurting Wang Ling, they didn't even see clearly how Wang Ling took action. They only saw Wang Ling lifting his leg. I felt a black shadow flash in front of me, and then the 4 people were kicked away almost instantly. 1 hit the table, 2 hit the wall, and another hit the TV. After falling down, there was a bang explosion. Ring. All 4 people were defeated in an instant. Moreover, Wang Ling was already restraining his strength when he opened his legs, but it was not something that these 4 people could bear. After falling down, they all fainted. Now, there are only 2 people left in this pickpocket organization. However, facing the wolf like Wang Ling, these 2 people have no intention of resisting at all. In the end, they want to run away in unison. Got it? The scarred man rushed to the back window of the shopping mall, and did not open it. Instead, he jumped out through the window, smashing the door and window, making a crash sound. Another tattooed man jumped out of the main entrance window, even the jumping method was the same as that of the scarred man. These 2 people, one behind the other, moved skillfully. It seemed that they had cooperated countless times. If Wang Ling was alone, it would be impossible to do both. But, hey, the team leader really guessed it right, someone really jumped out of the window. Haha, don't you know what kind of pervert the team leader is? No matter how many of them there are, the team leader is the one who gets beaten. If you don't run away, you have to wait to be beaten. Hey, yo, someone really shows up, what should I do? What should I do? Just beat me. As long as you don't beat me to death, the team leader will take care of anything that happens. Wang Ling was determined to take over this den this time. He also wanted to teach them a lesson. He was not going to let anyone go. He had arranged for Sun Dehua, Erlu, Li Tong, and Gu Xuanwu in advance. As a result, as soon as the scarred man and the tattooed man jumped out of the window, they each saw two fierce men in mobilization uniforms making comments. Before they could react, these four pieces of material had already started to take action. Ah no, it should be said that it is moving your feet. Two people surround one and kick them in circles. No matter how much these two people beg for mercy, it is not worth it if they don't beat you half to death. The continuous kicking took about a minute to end, and then the scarred man and the tattooed man were thrown in through the window. After this round of kicking, these two people are now bruised and swollen. There is no clean spot on their clothes. They are all covered with shoe marks. Moreover, Sun Dehu and the other four were unambiguous in their attacks. Now these two people have been kicked unconscious. It's like a dead dog when it falls in a shopping mall. These two people were also eliminated, and the entire pickpocket den was equivalent to being disabled. Sun Dehu and the four of them stopped waiting outside and jumped into the store one after another, laughing. Compared to the Allied forces, they are far behind. They are just like little chickens. I haven't even put in much effort yet. Erlu looked unhappy and seemed to want to continue taking action, looking like a warmonger. This time it was not just him, but even Li Tong said, "Indeed, these people are really not on the same level as the allies in the game. I didn't dare to use too much force for fear of being kicked to death by him. These people are all elite conscripts who have been tempered by blood and fire countless times in the world of Red Alert. In the real world, it is not easy to deal with several pickpockets, and it is 2 against 1 or 4 against 2. Come on, you guys, let me come out and do some activities to repay this complaint," Wang Ling scolded with a smile, and these people smiled awkwardly and closed their mouths. After getting rid of these pickpockets, Wang Ling focused on the stolen items, trying to find his mother's mobile phone and wallet. However, they had just had a good time during the fight. The tables were knocked down and these things were scattered all over the floor. Moreover, these thieves stole a large number of mobile phone wallets. It was really difficult to recognize them for a while. Wang Ling was so anxious that he took out his mobile phone and called his mother. He wanted to judge from the ringtone, but the ringtone indicated that the phone was turned off. I think so. How dare these thieves leave their phones on after they steal them? What if someone suddenly calls? If the power-on password cannot be cracked for a while, these thieves usually take out the mobile phone card as quickly as possible, hide it, or throw it away. This simple way was also interrupted. Wang Ling had no choice but to look around. Sun Dehu and the others couldn't help with this process. Even Xiao He had never smelled his mother's scent, so it was useless to call her out. This would be troublesome. Buzz. Buzz. It happened that at this time, the sound of police cars came from far and near outside the street. Why are you here so soon? Hey, trouble, if I had known earlier, I would have finished the fight before calling the police. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 386. Wang Ling was a little helpless. He was quite afraid of trouble, so he called the police in advance and let the police deal with the aftermath. According to his plan, after taking out this den, he found his mother's wallet and mobile phone, tied up the thieves and kept them here, and when the police came, he was done. When I got home, I said that I had claimed it from the police station. Anyway, the police had really arrested these thieves and started to collect lost and found items. It can be said that there was no flaw at all. But who would have imagined that the police were dispatched so quickly this time and did not even wait for him to find his cell phone? There was nothing he could do. He was too serious when he called the police in advance, but he didn't give the police a chance to question him. This would make everyone anxious. This sounds like the sound of a police car. Do the police in this world dispatch so quickly? Sun Dehua was also a little confused. Wang Ling sighed, let's go, it's too late to find things. If we stay here, we might be detained. Oh, it's really troublesome. We have to go to the police station to find lost items. Wait a minute. After Wang Ling finished speaking, everyone was about to jump out of the window and leave, but Erlu suddenly jumped out. There is still one person who is not fainted. We are all out, so we should do things more efficiently. After saying that, Erlu didn't wait for Wang Ling to speak. He directly picked up the wooden stick on the side and hit the tattooed man who was slapped by Wang Ling in the first place on the back with a bang sound. Knocked out. It's unlucky to say that this tattooed man was slapped by Wang Ling before. His whole body was rotated 360 degrees and fell to the ground. Half of his face was swollen with red handprints, and the corners of his mouth were bleeding. He was stunned, but after all, he fainted, lying on the ground shaking his head all the time, and had no ability to move at all. However, Erlu didn't give up. Wang Ling's eyelids jumped when he heard the sound of the stick hitting. This stick has visually caused internal injuries to the tattooed man. You kid, you're so mean, Wang Ling rolled his eyes. But Erlu refused to admit it. Hey, team leader, no matter how bad you are you still more bad? You don't even know whose soldier I am. Yes, the ball was kicked back by him. Wang Ling couldn't speak, so he simply turned around and jumped out of the back window. Sun Dehua, Erlu, Li Tong, and Gu Xuanwu also followed one after another. After jumping out, the 5 people did not leave immediately. Instead, like monkeys, they climbed up the roof along the side wall and crawled down. After they were in place, the police car finally arrived in front of the new technology. A total of 7 police officers got out of 3 police cars, each holding an electric baton and looking like they were rushing. When these policemen saw the security door that Wang Ling had kicked down, their expressions froze and they were unable to react for a moment. What on earth could be used to destroy the entire security door like this? But soon, a police officer thought of something. The person who called the police didn't say how many people came to the door. From the looks of it, there were quite a few people. The security door might have been broken open by a group of people with wooden stakes. That should be it. The other police officers nodded in agreement, otherwise they would not believe that it would be kicked away by a person. After accepting this guess, the 7 police officers rushed into the store. However, they were stunned when they saw the 8 thieves who had fainted miserably. What a large-scale crime scene! Who were the people who committed the crime? Why were they so cruel? I know this man with the scar on his face. He has been in the police more than once before, all for theft. These 8 people seem to be thieves, and looking at the stolen goods all over the floor, there is no doubt that this is this place. It's a den for thieves. We must have done a lot of credit by destroying such a den, right? I thought it was these thieves who were going to cause trouble, but my feeling is that these thieves were in personal danger. If I had known, I wouldn't have come so quickly. Zioba, what nonsense are you talking about? We can just ignore the thief's death? Stop talking nonsense and check to see if these people are still alive. The officer, who was obviously of some standing, spoke up. He couldn't help but be nervous. The life of a thief was also a human life. It was indeed a great achievement for them to destroy such a den of thieves. But if 8 lives were lost, it would be a big deal. They were responsible for the towns in this area. It is hard to escape the blame. The other policemen hurriedly took action and checked each other. Then the policeman named Zioba reported, "Brother Zhang, don't worry, they are all still alive." Their lives are not in danger, even if they are injured, they are not serious. Huh, after hearing this, the police officer who was called Brother John finally breathed a sigh of relief, but when he saw the wreckage here, he was also slightly annoyed. After investigating the situation, the police hurriedly took action, handcuffed all the thieves, and collected all the wallets, mobile phones, cash, and scattered small items in the store. I don't know if they were. All the stolen things were packed away. Although it was a crime scene, fortunately no one was killed. In this township, these policemen did not want to make things worse, so they did not pull out the cordon and return to the police station with the unconscious thieves. It wasn't until they saw the police car leaving that Wang Ling and the others sat up from the roof. Until now, Wang Ling is still complaining, "It's troublesome, it's really troublesome, I have to go to the police station." But this matter has nothing to do with Sun Dehu and the four of them. Erlu was still saying sarcastically, "Team leader, how come there is a big fat man among the police in your world? Such a fat body is convenient when dispatching the police." He was talking about the police officer known as Brother John. He was 1.7 meters tall and weighed 220 to 30 pounds. He was very fleshy. Wang Ling didn't care about this, and just said casually, "It's too much socializing. Okay, I'm done. Your clothes are not suitable for activities here, so go back first." "Going back so soon? Team leader, can't you play a little longer?" Erlu was still a little reluctant. Sun Dehu also complained, "This is not what we want to wear. When we come out of the system, this is what we wear by default. Can the team leader tell the artificial intelligence brain to change the outfit next time? Otherwise, it will be the same every time. It's so lonely to just leave after finishing your work." Wang Ling was a little dumbfounded, so he could only agree. Before leaving, Li Tong was still saying, "Team leader, we won't have the memory of this place when we return to the game. We will have to wait until the next time we come out. You can get it later when you are fine. Let us come out and do more activities." "Definitely," Wang Ling nodded. Then, 4 black space tunnels appeared, and 4 elite soldiers stepped into them. After the space tunnels disappeared, it was as if these 4 people had never appeared. There is no other way. Let's go find the lost property. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 387. To be honest, Wang Ling wouldn't want to go to a place like the police station. It would definitely be troublesome. But there is no way. When it is time to trouble, you have to trouble. Although a mobile phone, a wallet, and 500 yuan in cash are not too important to Wang Ling, but not getting the keys back, reconfiguration is still a troublesome thing. Although he had never been there before, he knew the location of the police station after all. After Wang Ling jumped down from the store building, he glanced at the messy scene, then like a normal person, took off his mask and walked to the police station leisurely. Walked in the direction. It's so miserable. Who did these 8 thieves mess with, and why were they beaten so badly? In the police station, after a group of police officers arrived, they carried the 8 thieves out and placed them in the corner of the hall. They did not rush to lock them up. Instead, several police officers stood around and pointed. "No, look at this man, the blood on his nose is so scary. I've seen it. This man is in terrible condition. The bridge of his nose is broken. I don't know who did it. It's so cruel. It's not just about the bridge of his nose. I cuffed his handcuffs. On the spot, I felt something was wrong with his wrists. After checking, it turned out that his wrists were broken. Holy crap, isn't it? My wrists are all broken." Hiss. "Moreover, look at this guy with tattoos. Half of his face is swollen. Look at these 4 palm prints. It's obvious that he was slapped like this. Oh my god, who did this? I simply doubt that he is violent. Ahem, It's this group of thieves we're beating anyway, so be ruthless. These thieves are real. Even if we hide in their dens, we can't find them. They commit crimes frequently. Neongen is even crazier underground. Someone discovered this. You deserve the beating. Zioba, what are you talking about? At this point in the conversation, the fat police officer Zhang finally spoke. Thieves are human beings too. Do you think it's ridiculous to beat someone like this? If I want to know who did it, I must arrest him and detain him for a few days. He's so cruel. He's definitely not a good person. The other policemen glanced at each other. Regardless of whether they agreed with his words or not, they did not continue to discuss this topic and went about their business. Some police officers took photos of the lost items and sent them to the township V-mail group, notifying them that the thief had been caught and posting the lost items online. Some also directly called the brigade and used loudspeakers to broadcast today's events in towns and villages after going to work tomorrow, and at the same time retrieve lost and found items. Not to mention whether they discovered this group of thieves, just taking down this den and catching these thieves is also an achievement. Of course, they must publicize it. Just over 10 minutes after these lost and found announcements were made, Wang Ling had already walked through the door of the police station and entered the lobby. Seeing the unconscious thieves, an imperceptible smile appeared on his lips. He looked at Officer Zhang and said, "Officer, I'm here to collect lost property. These thieves stole my mother's wallet." "You're here so soon." Officer Zhang didn't care much about Wang Ling's identity. He pointed at the seized lost items and said, "They are all there. Go look for them. Hold head high." Wang Ling responded and was about to go search for it, but then a phone call suddenly came to him. He took it out and saw that it was his father calling. "Dad, what's the matter? What are you doing? It's already dinner time, why aren't you back yet?" Dad scolded me. Wang Ling was wronged and defended. "Dad, the police caught those thieves. I am claiming my mother's wallet at the police station. I will go back later." "Hey, why is it so fast this time?" Wang Ling invisibly put a hi-hat on the police station. After hearing this, Officer Zhang looked calm on the surface, but in fact he felt a little proud in his heart. Wang Ling's call also reminded him of something, and he quickly said, "By the way, didn't someone report a crime before? They said they saw someone coming to take revenge? Call this person and ask who they are." "Oh." Immediately, a police officer received the order and hurriedly made a phone call, but was informed that the other party was on the phone. "Okay, come back quickly after you get the things. It's late and the food is cold." "Oh." And just as the police officer hung up the phone, Wang Ling also hung up the phone. What a coincidence. "Who are you calling?" The police officer was a little confused, but he was also determined and immediately called another one. This time, the line was finally not busy. Wang Ling answered the phone helplessly in front of all the police. "Hey, officer, what do you want from me?" In the hall, all the police officers looked at Wang Ling. "Did you report the case?" The police officer simply hung up the phone, and Officer Zhang asked angrily, "We just went to arrest someone, why didn't we see you? The scene is so chaotic. How dare I get too close? What if I get beaten too?" Wang Ling pretended not to know. He didn't want to make things too troublesome, but the call had already come. The person who reported the crime had to be in trouble. Officer Zhang glanced at him suspiciously, and then asked, "Then did you see who did it?" Wang Ling nodded simply, "I saw it. They were 4 people in red clothes. The decoration looked a bit like the conscripts in the Red Alert game. Anyway, Sun Dehu and the 4 of them had already returned to the Red Alert world, so they were naturally brought out to take the blame at this time. They're mobilizing troops. Have you played too many games?" a younger policeman said sarcastically, while Wang Ling just smiled awkwardly. "I think so. Anyway, He is wearing a red coat and looks menacing. I'll report the case and hurry up. I just hid away, I didn't even see how they did it, and I don't know where they went. Yes, his push was quite clean this time. The other police officers were speechless for a moment, but Officer Zhang was a little confused. No, you don't seem to be telling the truth. What's wrong, sir? Wang Ling was stunned. I've heard the call that reported the crime. It said it was a pickpocket's den. How did you know it was a pickpocket's den? Officer Zhang's eyes were very sharp and he caught this loophole. Now, it was Wang Ling's turn to be speechless. He made up a temporary excuse, which would inevitably have some loopholes. But Officer Zhang was still in a dilemma, and it's such a coincidence that you came here. We just arrested these thieves, and it wasn't long before we announced the lost and found items, and then you came. What a coincidence. Wang Ling scratched his head. He was really afraid that something might happen. This matter was really troublesome. However, there was no way to expect him to tell the truth, so he improvised. Why is it abnormal, police officer? When those weirdos knocked on the door, I happened to hear them talk about it, saying that it was a pickpocket den, and my mother today the wallet was indeed stolen by thieves, and I guessed it was them. No, I saw you arresting the thief from a distance, so I came over quickly to collect the lost property, so that my mother would not be anxious. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 388. Wang Ling was at the police station, making up lies openly, but he had already sorted out his mentality. His old face was not red at all, and judging from his tone, he seemed a little anxious. Officer Zhang looked at him suspiciously, a little doubtful. You really don't know? Sir, I'm just a civilian who reports a crime. Why are you making it so difficult for me? It's so difficult to report a case. Will I dare to report a crime if anything happens in the future? Wang Ling looked really anxious. At this time, Officer Zhang could no longer ask him anything. Ahem. Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. As soon as he said this, among the little ruffians, the scarred man suddenly coughed twice and slowly opened his eyes, attracting the attention of everyone in the hall. At this time, there were even some impatient police officers who stepped forward to pinch a few people. In the end, except for the tattooed man who had his nose broken and was too embarrassed to move, all the others were woken up by the pinch. For a moment, the hall there were frequent wailing sounds inside. Wang Ling, Sun Dehua, and the others were very ruthless, and now these thieves are still suffering. However, the police officer known as Zioba seemed to have a strong opinion on this group of thieves. He didn't care how uncomfortable they were and asked directly, "You finally woke up? Do you remember who beat you? This is the police station. Why were we arrested?" One of the pickpockets seemed to be entering the police station for the first time. When he saw these uniformed policemen, he immediately panicked and screamed. Zioba didn't care how panicked he was, and directly took a picture of his Tianling guy. Don't interrupt, what do you want to ask? Remember, but that person is wearing a mask. On the other hand, Scarman often got into trouble and quickly adapted to it. However, just as he was about to recall Wang Ling's attire at that time, he suddenly saw Wang Ling not far away looking at them with an incomprehensible smile. He was suddenly stunned. Of course, Wang Ling had worn a mask before to avoid trouble, but his attire had not changed. The man with the scar actually recognized Wang Ling at a glance. Snort. However, Wang Ling snorted coldly in his heart. His eyes focused, and suddenly a strong mental pressure filled the air. He cleverly avoided all the police and accurately covered all the thieves. Suddenly, all the thieves' brains buzzed, and a battlefield of blood and fire seemed to emerge in their minds. A large number of artillery fire shrouded the surroundings, and a large number of people died in the surrounding area. The aura of death was permeated, and it could affect them at any time. As he fought fiercely and grew up in the world of Red Alert, the aura of terror that Wang Ling brought from the battlefield became stronger and stronger, and this aura of terror was naturally added to the mental pressure, making it difficult for ordinary people to detect. But once covered by this mental pressure, the blood and terror from the battlefield will go straight to the depths of a person's heart. It is true that the group of soldiers who have been fighting all year round in the Red Alert world are almost immune to this kind of smell, but in real life, this kind of smell is very scary to ordinary people. Those group of pickpockets had never experienced such a horrific war. At the moment, each one was so frightened that they became silent. One pickpocket even wet his crotch, which was really ugly. Unfortunately, this mental coercion did not reach the police on the scene. All the police did not understand what happened. They were all confused when they saw the group of pickpockets suddenly becoming like this. Seeing that the deterrent effect was achieved, Wang Ling immediately put away the pressure and resumed his harmless appearance. But the group of pickpockets were still afraid, and they were sluggish. Hey, what's wrong with you? Did you take the wrong medicine? Police officer Zioba was a little annoyed. He stepped forward and patted several people on the face. I'm asking you questions, are you stupid? I'm not going to kill you, so just ask. Who hit you? Is it so difficult to answer? Ah no, we don't know. Officer, please, stop asking. We don't know anything. However, something unexpected happened to all the police. These pickpockets didn't even dare to say anything. In fact, they had actually recognized Wang Ling. After all, his figure and dress were too obvious, but the terror of his mental power made them dare not say anything at all. It was as if Wang Ling had revealed one more word. It's very scary, as if he could kill them at any time. That's really weird. Are they a group of pickpockets or a group of fools? Seeing that he could no longer ask, Ziobo patted his face in annoyance. Wang Ling shrugged his shoulders, walked to the group of stolen items, and soon picked out his mother's wallet and mobile phone. Just when he was about to take it away, Officer Zhang suddenly asked, I'll take it later. How do I know if this is something your mother lost? How can you prove it? He was still doubting Wang Ling and didn't want to let Wang Ling leave so soon. Wang Ling replied helplessly, I heard from my mother that she still had 500 yuan in cash and a bunch of keys at home in her wallet. The thieves took out her mobile phone and deducted the card, but I know how to unlock it. Password, look. As he spoke, Wang Ling turned on the phone and unlocked the screensaver password of his mother's phone. Officer Zhang checked the contents of his wallet and found that they were indeed not bad, but he was still looking at Wang Ling with a frown. Wang Ling is a bit abnormal. What's wrong? Just when Wang Ling was getting a little impatient, another person suddenly came in outside the police station. Looking back, I saw that the person who came was also wearing a police uniform. He seemed to be over 40 years old. He was tall and looked very strong. Wang Ling didn't know this person, but the other police officers did, so he hurriedly said hello, Deputy Director. It turned out that the person who came was the Deputy Director of the Township Police Station. Officer Zhang hurriedly greeted and explained, Director Liu, you came at the right time. We just solved a theft case, but these thieves were beaten unconscious. The people who took action were very ruthless and had criminal tendencies, but we don't know who did it. This young man is the one who reported the crime, and I always feel that he and that group of people should know each other. After a few words, Officer Zhang quickly told Deputy Director Liu these things in detail. After hearing this, Deputy Director Liu looked at Wang Ling strangely, but Wang Ling responded with the same impatient look, Officer, I just reported a case, why did I report an accident? If I had known, I wouldn't have reported the case. Let those group of pickpockets be beaten to death. Haha, young man, don't be angry. It's okay to report the crime. We should encourage reporting the crime and let you resolve everything privately. What if someone accidentally kills someone? Isn't that right? Deputy Director Lu seemed to be much more easygoing. Xiaozhang, you are serious. Why are you so picky when someone reports a case? Give things to others. Officer Zhang had no choice but to look at Wang Ling and return the lost property. Although it was troublesome, fortunately, he got it. Wang Ling let out a long breath and didn't want to stay any longer. Officer, you guys are busy first. I'm leaving. Dad and the others are still waiting for me to eat. Okay, let's go. Deputy Director Lu said goodbye with a harmless look, but when Wang Ling walked out of the hall and passed by Deputy Director Lu, the Deputy Director suddenly reached out and grabbed Wang Ling's wrist. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 389. Deputy Director Liu's action was so sudden that Wang Ling had no idea that he would do this in advance and had no precautions. However, Wang Ling has been strengthened at the intermediate level, strengthened with experience in various types of arms, and has been tempered in many life and death battles. His physical fitness and reaction ability have long surpassed ordinary people. Deputy Director Liu's arrest, not only did he caught Wang Ling's wrist, but he turned his wrist to avoid it, and in turn grabbed Deputy Director Liu's arm. The huge force was like an iron pliers, which made Deputy Director Liu feel frightened. I wanted to take my hand out, but found that I couldn't do it. Sir, what do you mean? At this moment, Wang Ling was really annoyed, and he couldn't help but exude a military majesty. This majesty has experienced the test of blood and fire, and is full of oppression. Although it does not deliberately release the mental pressure, this majesty alone is enough to make ordinary people dare not look directly. However, Deputy Director Liu was obviously not an ordinary person. Wang Ling's reaction made him stunned for a moment, but after he recovered, he looked at Wang Ling meaningfully and said with a smile, "Young man, your hands are quite strong. Ah, and this momentum is not something ordinary people can have." Wang Ling frowned slightly. Sure enough, Zhang was still hot. Deputy Director Liu seemed to have noticed something fishy. He had to let go of his hand, quickly restrained himself, and defended, "I fought a lot when I was a kid, it's no big deal." "Sir, it's nothing, I'll leave." After saying that, he turned around and left the police station without even waiting for Deputy Director Liu to say anything else. After Wang Ling left, Officer Zhang stepped forward and said, "Director Liu, I still think there are some problems with him." Deputy Director Liu smiled and said, "It's not what you think, but there must be something wrong." "What?" Officer Zhang was still a little confused. Deputy Director Liu said, "This young man has tried his best to disguise himself, but he still showed some flaws. He is so strong that it's ridiculous. I dare say that if I fight with him, he will definitely torture me and I won't fight back at all, no power at all. No way, it's too exaggerated." "It's not an exaggeration at all. Moreover, when he was anxious, he called me sir instead of officer. This title is rarely used nowadays, but many people in the army still use it often when calling some superiors. Moreover, I just felt a kind of military majesty from him, and there seemed to be a vague feeling of chilling, as if he had personally fought on the battlefield. It was very strange." Deputy Director Liu said what he said. His suspicions and some information that Wang Ling revealed invisibly were all caught by him. Officer Zhang's eyes widened. "No way. Director Liu, how is this possible? I can barely agree that he has been a soldier, but has he fought in a war? There is no war for him to fight now. Is it peacekeeping? Force? Impossible. If there is such a hero in our town, I can't possibly not know about it." Deputy Director Liu denied it, thought for a moment, and said, "Bring up the surveillance video just now and show it to me." "Oh. Some police officers quickly started operating their computers, and within a moment they had retrieved all the videos after Wang Ling's arrival. Deputy Director Lu watched every minute, including every change in Wang Ling's expression. At this glance, I really found a lot of tricks. When he first arrived at the hall and saw the thieves, the smile that flashed across Wang Ling's lips was very abnormal and did not look like the expression that ordinary people should have. Of course, what concerned Deputy Director Lu the most and watched repeatedly was the change in Wang Ling's expression after the thieves woke up. Of course, the mental coercion released by Wang Ling could not be felt at all in the surveillance video. However, during this period, the cold smile Wang Ling showed could be seen by all the police officers, including Deputy Director Lu. All have a feeling of being on pins and needles, as if a pack of hungry wolves are watching eagerly. It was at that time that a group of thieves were frightened into silence. At that time, all the police officers were paying attention to the thief and did not see Wang Ling. Now that the two are put together, they can easily be implicated. It's strange. Are those thieves so scared just because of his look? Deputy Director Lu said to himself, and others also found it a bit incredible. Unable to think of a result, Deputy Director Lu simply found the group of thieves and asked, "Why were you so scared just now? Is it because of that young man? Who beat you like this? Officer, can you please stop asking? We don't know anything. Stop asking, we don't dare to tell." The group of thieves still looked frightened and did not dare to say anything. However, this made Deputy Director Lu even more curious, and he quickly comforted him, "Don't worry, this is the police station. No one can do anything to you except legal procedures." Even though they said that, these thieves still had no intention of saying anything. Having no other choice, Deputy Director Lu simply focused his attention on the last tattooed man who was still unconscious, and slapped his face to wake him up. "Hey! It hurts." As soon as the tattooed man woke up, he complained endlessly about the pain on his wrists and the bridge of his nose. After he got used to it for a while, he saw the police surrounding them in the hall, and knew that they were under arrest, and his expression became even brighter. "It's ugly." Deputy Director Lu took the opportunity to ask, "Who beat you like this?" The tattooed man was still in a coma before and had not been affected by Wang Ling's mental coercion. He didn't have so many scruples and explained the entire process of Wang Ling's knock on the door. "Jeans, casual cotton coat, this look is just like the young man just now, except for the mask. Yes, it must be him, I feel something is abnormal. Are you not exaggerating?" He kicked the security door open with 3 kicks by himself. "I thought it was a group of people who pushed it open with wooden stakes." "You said he kicked it open alone." After he finished speaking, a group of police officers looked at each other and expressed some disbelief at the process. Even Deputy Director Lu lamented, "I still underestimated him. This young man is quite interesting." Officer Zhang also nodded and said, "That young man said that it was a few people in red clothes who did it. He is really good at telling lies without blinking an eye." "Officer, there are indeed a few weirdos in red clothes, and I was knocked unconscious by them anyway." The man with the scar didn't worry about anything anymore, so he just kept talking. And in this way, Wang Ling's identity becomes even more mysterious. Not only is he powerful, but he also has some subordinates. No, this person must be arrested, detained for a few days, lead people to fight, beat people so badly, this is absolutely illegal. Just refreshed the background, and there was a notification. I thought the last book was unblocked, but I clicked in and saw that another chapter of Red Alert World has been blocked. Different Dimension Red Alert World. Author, Sanqian Lang. Chapter 390. After learning the truth of the matter, Officer Zhang was a little annoyed and immediately wanted to call the police to arrest Wang Ling. "Stop." However, Deputy Director Lu stopped him. "What are you going to do to catch him? Kick down the security door with 3 legs and pick on the entire gang of pickpockets." Can you catch this kind of guy? When Officer Zhang heard this, he immediately stopped and looked confused. But director, are you just going to let him get away with it? Getting away with justice? Where did he break the law? Deputy Director Lu looked away, and in turn enlightened Officer Zhang. Is it just because you beat these pickpockets? Xiao Zhang, you are so smart. They are allowed to attack the people, but they are not allowed to resist. These are a group of pickpockets, and they have stolen so many things in one breath. Who else is not worried? Usually they hide deep, we can't find them, there is nothing we can do. They have been found now, which is a good thing. As for beating them, I want to beat them up for all the things they did, but I can't do it because of my status. The young man represents the people to teach them a lesson. Wrong. Under this argument, Officer Zhang was speechless for a moment. But Police Officer Xiao Ba agreed very much with these words. Yes, what the Deputy Director said is so right. These pickpockets really deserve to be beaten. Usually they are arrogant and we can't find them. Now they have been found and beaten. After beating them, we arrest and beat them in turn, which will inevitably chill the hearts of the people. Go, and do your business. Officer Zhang glared at him, and then asked in turn, so, Director Lu, is this the end of the matter? Deputy Director Lu smiled meaningfully. Of course, did you see that young man doing it with your own eyes? You didn't see anything. Even those thieves just looked at people's clothes and guessed it was him. So this matter, we don't even know who did it. Those thieves were crying now. They were beaten so hard, but in the end they were beaten in vain. The police didn't care about them. And Officer Zhang could only accept this conclusion. The official level was to crush people to death, and he could only obey the orders of Deputy Director Lu. In addition, let me check the identity of this young man. He should be from our township when he appears here. It should be in the archives. He is so low-key and obviously does not want to reveal his identity. We will not reveal it, but we have time. I have to treat him to a meal. Director Lu, why? You're stupid, you're just trying to build relationships. This young man is extraordinary, and he must have a secret. Since he doesn't do anything extraordinary, we can just pretend to be stupid. However, if we encounter any troublesome things in the future, it's up to us. If you can't solve it yourself, then you can ask this young man to come forward. Oh, Director Lu, I'm really convinced this time. According to my style of doing things, I have to offend people to death, but when you do this, you pull him over to help us. It's really troublesome. Deputy Director Lu seems to be very powerful. He should be able to guess or find out through torture that it was me who did it. Will he give me some shoes? In the police station, while a group of police officers were discussing and arguing about Wang Ling was walking home alone, even distressed by the series of troubles. With this extra-dimensional system, especially after unlocking the advanced redemption, Wang Ling could be a hero or a villain at any time with his current abilities and points, and his two thoughts of good and evil, but he chose to retreat behind the scenes and be an ordinary person. This also shows that Wang Ling does not have much ambition and does not like trouble. But today, even his identity was almost exposed, which will make him distressed for a while. Forget it, let the soldiers come to cover up the water and the earth. Anyway, I didn't do anything bad. I just beat up a few thieves. After struggling for a while, this guy finally looked away. After such a long delay, it was already evening. Wang Ling hurried back home, but his parents were still waiting for him to finish eating. Before his parents could ask anything, Wang Ling took the initiative to show his mother's wallet and said with a smile, "Mom, I got the wallet for you. It's not bad, but the mobile phone card has been deducted. Come on tomorrow, just go to the business office and get another one. It's really amazing this time. It was stolen in the morning and someone was caught in the evening." Her father was still marveling, but her mother was very relieved when she saw her wallet and checked it. Take a breath. How did the two elders know that this was Wang Ling's single-handed contribution? They just thought it was the police station that showed off its power this time, and they praised it for a while, but Wang Ling, the biggest contributor, had nothing to do with it. And Wang Ling was happy to put aside this topic. After the lost property was found, the original dull atmosphere at home was finally resolved, and the family had a cheerful dinner as usual. After the meal, the family did not go out for a walk in the winter. Mom and Dad watched TV, and Wang Ling played with his mobile phone. In the blink of an eye, it was time to rest. After putting on his pajamas, washing up, turning off the lights and lying on the bed, Wang Ling couldn't wait to go to the transfer station of the interdimensional system. Woof woof. Xiao He was still the same as before, jumping on Wang Ling's body and licking him randomly. Wang Ling laughed for a while and touched the dog's head. Well done, Xiao He. After all, he is a police dog. Xiao He is not only good at being cute, he also did a very good job in tracking today. Without Xiao He's help, Wang Ling would have been in a lot of trouble if he wanted to clear out the entire den. After playing with Xiao He for a while, Wang Ling went to the Red Alert world. In today's Red Alert world, we are still in the preparation stage before the final battle. The major field groups are ready, and the base is also building tanks and Kirov airships, recruiting soldiers and expanding the team. It looks like a storm is coming. Posture. As for the city's defense line, they had just been promoted to lieutenant colonel a few days ago. The number of expanded soldiers in the Wolf Group can be said to be the largest in the entire defense line, a full one-third more than the other field groups. It can be said that they are very strong. Of course, Wang Ling no longer cares much about how to expand the army. He is only responsible for making plans and charging into the battle during the final battle. Now in the preparation stage, he is much more leisurely. When he returned to the Red Alert world, he was even in the building following the Wolf team members are sleeping. After returning this time, Wang Ling recalled what happened during the day and couldn't help but feel curious. He sat up and stared at Sun Dehu beside him, trying to see if this guy really had no memory of the real world. Sun Dehu and several people around him were still awake and were chatting with others. He didn't feel surprised when Wang Ling suddenly sat up. However, Wang Ling stared at him endlessly, and in the end he even looked at him. Team leader, you took the wrong medicine, why are you staring at me? Could it be that you have been in the army for a long time? Are you bent, do you like me?